Magnus found a way.
Holy cow.
I don't know how he did it.
I mean, look at this position. It should be dead lost. Magnus Carlsen is 2 pawns down, yet somehow he understands that he has chances here to not just draw, but even win the game. Let's back it up. See the opening moves. Aggressive Sicilian. Bro's rewriting chess out here. His opponent is Denis Lazovic. Magnus Tabletson is playing on the tablet here. It's an esports World Cup qualifier event. Although Magnus was qualified, he's a game down in this match, trying to fight back. Does so with this aggressive Najdorf variation, characterized by this pawn push here, and soon, look at this, a Dragendorf as they call it. He roars fire on the board. He's gonna fianchetto the rook, we presume. Sorry, bishop, we presume. Getting myself muddled up. Denis goes for one of the most aggressive ways here. I believe this is the one they call the English attack. I should know it, being from this country and all. And Magnus says, hang on, you're not having all the fun. H5, doesn't castle into it, keeps an eye on this pawn break. Modern chess for you. The bishop comes streaming out. Of course, this is online chess. Clock times on the left, about 10 minutes each. Knight entering the game. We get a bit of 0-0-0 business. And Magnus goes for the bishop pair. He does soon pick them up. However, it takes time. Pawn b5 goes for the counter. Always play king b1. Here comes Magnus's bishop. Got all his bits out now. Good etiquette, especially over the board. And Denis could start pushing pawns, but he plays the very strong rook he1. And this is the thing. Magnus is spending a bit of time. Hasn't yet castled. King's in the centre. But look at the harmony in the white position. Black's on the back foot here. White standing better. Plus with the space. How's Magnus going to break out? Well, he starts with rook to c8. Half open file. This is a nice improving move. Open the eyes of the rook. Discourage d5, which sometimes black wants to play. Pressure the knight. Pressure the pawn. Now we see castles straight into the eye of the storm. h3. Here comes that pawn armada. But before you can say, hey Fabi, show us your brilliant move face, Magnus gains space on the queen side. You've got a choice of where to plonk the knight. I guess you could even drop back here and still be okay. Denis decides to go for this one. All moves were playable. And now Magnus wants to attack down this file. But first he chops off the bishop. Not just picking up the bishop bear, which he's now got. That becomes pertinent later on. But also weakening the defense of c2. And that's what this move's connected with. The all-powerful engine hates it. Weakening squares. Weakening this pawn. But Magnus's point is this. Attack the king. Make it weird. Take huge risk. Try and get a point on the board. Now Denis's best is actually taking either this pawn or this pawn. Because even though the black queen takes, the king hides out nicely here. And with these pawns collapsing, the whole black position really starts to become suspicious. But Denis didn't play in that manner. He responded to Magnus's threats. He played rook c1, a little bit on the defensive, and Magnus just continues throwing the kitchen sink at Denis. He plays the move d5. So thematic. Not the best move in this position rather, but aggressive, fun. By the way, if you want to learn these kind of openings, use Lotus Chess. Then you pick up the ideas of like d5 and bringing the heavy pieces to the c file. You understand the themes of the position. It trains you through that spaced repetition in your openings. So you stick it in your head, you play it in your games. Plus it now does end games, which is just mind-blowingly good. That's actually my favourite feature right now. The link's below. So many people giving raving feedback, loving it. Connects to your accounts, LeeChess, chess.com. Do have a look. This is on the board. Takes was played here. to weaken protection here and win a clean pawn. Now Magnus's point is this: I'm going to win it back. No knight c3, of course, with either knight. Squares covered. What are you doing here? Are you playing c4? Really? Allowing en passant? Opening up your king? Well, guess what? This is actually the best line, because the king is okay. Safe as houses behind a couple pawns. This one's now covered. Maybe you bring a rook to support it soon. And white's doing really nicely. Bishop's a bit blocked out. Who knows if we can arrange knight e4 one day? Can we ever bring a knight into b6 supported by the queen? White's doing well. But not played. Dennis goes takes on b4. It was good earlier, but not so hot here, because Magnus can win the central pawn, which liberates his bishop. Now this knight hops back, rook moves, queen to b6, and hang on a minute. Do you really want to be trading queens against the endgame GOAT? He loves the queenless endgame. Look at his fans. They're enjoying this moment. Now we see rook takes, rook recaptures, and bishop h4. We start to see a little bit of what Magnus is trying to do. Dark squared control, power of the bishops against the knights, pawns on both sides of the board still. Can he make it weird? Can he make it kooky? Dennis doesn't necessarily find the best moves. This is a bayonet pawn structure. Be careful of this pawn. If you ever play it over the board, it gets sharp. I've seen many bleeds in my time. Always have a band-aid on you, or plaster as we say in this country. Pawns attacked here. Magnus defends. Now you could play knight to a5 and into c5. One of the best ideas. But this was played. e4, takes, rook e2. And this is what blows my mind. Magnus gives up the pawn like this to liberate the bishop. We see knight takes here. And after bishop g5, it's like, what is going on? He is 2 pawns down. I understand the bishop pair and the power of them, and there's some pins going on here, but still, 2 pawns is 2 pawns. And they're over here. This one's a passed runner. How can you possibly assess this as okay? But Magnus does. He understands. It's roughly level. He even has chances. He now sees this knight drop back to defend the other. You could already win a pawn using tactics, but h4 is just calmly played. Bro's rewriting chess over here, honestly. How do you assess 2 pawns down is okay just because you've got the bishops? This is nuts to me. Rook e8. Any other grandmaster would be lost here, I swear, but somehow Magnus just keeps probing, keeps pressuring. The knight can't move. The rook drops here. So king c2 is played, bringing it over, of course. Check now. King d2. Another check. King e1. Finally, white's prepared to unravel. But watch this. Check. And you can't play king f1 or bishop d3. Wins an exchange. And with it, the game. So we see knight f2 getting very clumsy suddenly. Magnus invades with the rook. I mean, who transforms the position like this? Crazy. What play with those bishops and rooks? Knight f1, trying to get rid of this bishop, break the pin, then take this one, all that good stuff. So Magnus does e to pawn now, cashes in on the pressure. He's still 1 down though. Knight takes, he's lost his bishop pair, and you can't take back with the pawn or your rook drops. So rook takes was played. Got something in my hair, sorry. Was outside, touching some grass. Knight e4 is played. Hits the rook over here. And Magnus now changes the position. Bishop takes. He enters the endgame phase. Rook takes on h3. He has restored material. He's got 2 connected passers, but white's got a passer. c5's played. King f6. And now if you go rook c4... not played in the game, back cave mode, the king can actually step round. You do get there in time, and fine. Different game. This should apparently be a draw, something like this. Black can emerge a pawn ahead, but the white king's too active. The rook can defend. If you know your defences with the rook, check out Lotus Chess, end games, it'll teach you. Let's back up here. We didn't see rook c4. We saw pawn to c ships. Immediately running, Magnus swings behind, had to be played, and we should see an exchange of prisoners. Takes here, takes here. But in the game, Dennis plays the catastrophic rook c4. Now, how does a completely losing move that takes it to -5 only get a single question mark? Those guys at Chess.com are just having a laugh with us at this stage. What's the winning continuation? Rook takes simply. Pawn recaptures and the king steps in. And although these pawns are running, Magnus glides past. Very important you do that, by the way. This king steps over and you can't make progress. King d2 was played. What if you tried to run with the pawns, distract the black king? Well, black keeps pushing. Of course, you don't take. You step back. And if you try this, well, you lose this. And the king's covering the squares. Of course, you can never take. Then the queen is made. But you don't need to take. You just chill. You just push. King steps in. But the moment it gets inside the square of this one, you push this one. And white is getting trousered. First heard that off the late great Daniel Naroditsky. What a commentator, what terms he had. Let's run back because we didn't see the pawn push. King d2 as mentioned, h3, and Dennis resigns. This one's running through. If you'd have stayed with it, this one's running through. Clutch victory from Magnus there. He didn't have to win, but it was getting hairy if he didn't start winning soon. And then he proceeded to the grand final. Have a look at the video on screen in case you missed that one or just want to rewatch an incredible game. And do check out Lotus Chess, link below. It's awesome. It'll change your chess. Thanks a lot and see you soon. Cheers.